enlightened statesmen will not always be at the helm. This matters because when the founding fathers at this Constitutional Convention designed the modern presidency, the first president was sitting in the room was George Washington. He said, "This can be all right." But Madison warned them, enlightened statesmen will not always be at the helm. Understatement of the millennium.
Someone who's such a strict constitutionalist and knows everything about it, I was curious to see that you think that senators should not be able to run for president.
No, I was 49% serious with it, that we ought to have the following amendment. No one should be eligible to be president if they are or ever have been a senator. The reason for that is the Senate today is not a Senate, it's really a 100-person reunion. Furthermore, it's performative entirely. That most of them have never run anything larger than the Senate staff. The ex-governors who come to the Senate are always the most unhappy senators because they're the ones who do real power. So instead of having this performative episode of one senator after another running for president, disqualify them, and a whole bunch of senators would leave because the only reason Josh Hawley is there in Missouri is to run for president.
Well, we wouldn't have ever had Obama or Kennedy.
Can live with that.
Thank you for coming. George, good to see you. I appreciate you so much. George Will, thank you very much. Let's meet on panel. Okay, here's our panel. He's the founder of Envoy Media and host of both The Real Story, the Dr. Phil and the Dr. Phil podcast. Dr. Phil is here. Hey. And he's the host of ESPN's First Take and will soon launch a new political talk show on SiriusXM's POTUS channel, Stephen A. Smith. Okay, guys. Let's be nice now. Ready to rumble, but let me first catch people up. Catch people up on the big political story of the week, which has to do with your state of Texas and the gerrymandering. I know, as a talk show host, when somebody says to you the big story is gerrymandering, you're like, well, people are going to be glued to the TV. But it is a big story, because gerrymandering, what it means, of course, is that voters should be picking the politicians, but when you gerrymander, the politicians pick the voters. Here's what's new. In the past, states do this after the census. You get the census every 10 years, the number of people. Sometimes it makes sense. You have to redraw districts and so forth. Now, Trump wants a do-over. They did it after 2020 in Texas. And he's saying, because they found out that he got a bigger part of the Hispanic vote, that they could redo the districting and maybe he'll win those districts. They've got Austin voting Republican. Now, here's my question, Dr. Phil. You're from Texas. This is some bullshit, isn't it?
Was there a question in there?
That was it. This is some bullshit, isn't it?
Well, it depends. They're not the only ones that have done this. Democrats do it as well. They've done it in Ohio, Florida, Pennsylvania.
After the census?
No. It's not always done after the census. It's done between as well. And clearly, it's done for reasons to change the distribution. Texas is doing it because they say because they've got more Republican voters now, they should have more representation. Is that bullshit? Yes.
Yes. So there was an answer. There was a simple answer.
Don't get too self-righteous about this because they've done it in Illinois where they fled to now, and
Maryland.
I just think they should stay there and find it out. Why leave? You're paid to be there to legislate. Stay there and find it out.
First of all, let's answer the question first. It's utter bullshit. Let's get that out the way. Secondly, it's a disservice to the American citizen. However, you're right when we say that not one side is guilty of this. The Democrats are guilty of it too. They were guilty of it in Illinois. They were guilty of it in Maryland. They tried to do it in 2022, but they were struck down. They've made concerted efforts throughout the years to do it themselves. So they can't engage in a flagrant level of hypocrisy by acting like something is happening on the other side now that it's to their disadvantage, acting like they're innocent apes in all of this. They try to do it all the time, but in the end, the reason why it's BS is because who gets screwed over is the American citizen. That's why the level of frustration that exists has elevated to such astronomical proportions, because we know that the American citizen has been used as pawns by these politicians. Here you are picking for voters instead of allowing them to make these decisions themselves. And this is done every 10 years, like you said, but this is in the middle of the decade, which is not something that's common, but that would be Trump following rules and regulations, which he's not apt to do. Anytime he sees an advantage, he's going to sense it. He prides himself in being the anti-politician, to being somebody that's willing to buck the system in order to get things done. So he knows he's going to have an abundance of people that's going to support him, which is true, which means he's probably going to get away with it once they get those officials back to Texas, those Democratic officials. They're going to be able to vote, okay, and as a result, they're going to end up having 5
And then California's going to do it here.
That's right, but this is going to be bad for Newsom, by the way. That's a different subject for another day.
Do you breathe through your ears?
That's it. That's it. Is it good?
That's good.
That's good. Let's not start.
This is something I know.
No, I know, right. But this is good because this is what the country needs. Both of you called your own side full of shit. That's what we need. Honesty. Okay.
Because it's true.
Because it's true.
It's true, and it's true, and it's bad. And one of the things
So they are taking it to a different level.
Yes.
They are. This always happens. The Democrats, you can't say they're innocent, and then the Republicans take it to a different level. He is trying, Trump said, his quote was, "We're entitled to 5 new seats." 5 new seats. This never happened on the